Scott Yingling with YNG Global and Krav Evolution. I want to talk to you today about sparring. Everybody knows what sparring is, but I want to talk to you about sparring in your Krav Maga classes. Okay, I see a lot of talking on the internet and different forums and whatnot saying that if you're not sparring in your Krav Maga class, that you're not preparing yourself for real violence encounters. And honestly, I think there's two different sides of this coin. If you look at what sparring is conditioning you to do a sport. Okay, sparring is me putting my gear on, and like I've talked about in my previous video, it's preparing you to give and take damage, to move and do different techniques that prepares you to do a sport. Okay, so if what you're doing in your Krav Maga training is sparring, I think that you are not developing the three main warrior traits that any good Krav Maga school should be focusing on. And that's courage, determination, and aggressiveness. And to be able to counteract a violent attack or a violent encounter, techniques that are developed through normal sparring are going to get you hurt. They're going to get you mauled over. They're going to get you knocked on the ground. They're not going to give you the ability to become the attacker and attack that person. If you're talking about techniques in a Krav Maga class that are going to give you a conditioned, reflexive, muscular response, the mind, brain, muscle reflex to where if no matter what happens to me, if something hits me, I'm going to instantly turn and attack. I'm not going to cover up and start sparring. You need to be working on a conditioned training regimen in your Krav Maga class that is training you to have those autonomic, reflexive, muscular responses. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to show you some sparring that we do in my Krav Maga school here in French Guiana, and we're also going to show you some technique stress conditioning that we do. I'm not saying that you shouldn't spar, because there is something about sparring that is good, to be able to take a hit, to condition you to know what that is, to take the hit in the head. I'm not saying don't do sparring, traditional sparring, but if that's all you're doing, if all you're doing is low kicks and Muay Thai, because at the end of the day, when we talk about sparring, we're talking about Muay Thai. You're boxing, you're doing Muay Thai, and you're not doing the right stuff if that's all you're doing. So I'm going to show you both things that we're doing, that I do with my training in my school, and then I'll do some commentary on that, and then I'll come back later after we get done with there, and then I'll explain to you why I do those two things.
What you see here will be a sparring session that was after a striking class that was based on combinations and the use of a front push kick or teep kick that leads into a straight right or a straight reverse punch, leading you into sparring situations more for sport that could be applicable in street combat situations, but for reactions to aggressive attacks that you are not ready for. Obviously, this sparring situation of give and take is conditioning you to stand in front of your opponent and exchange punches and exchange strikes. My little future Krav Maga expert is there cheering us on, but this was between me, the instructor, and one of my students. So obviously, as an instructor, you always should put yourself to the level of your student. Following here, you're going to see stress testing or conditioning, reflexive muscular responses to react to aggressions that you aren't able to predict. So we do what you see here. You're going to see 8 burpees, 8 squats, 8 mountain climbers. Then you spin with your eyes closed until one of 3 attackers will attack you with either a grabbing technique or a grabbing attack, a knife attack, or just a blunt force attack. As you can see, as it goes forward, each time your stress and fatigue levels mount. So then your small motor skills are going to go down. So that is going to be as much as possible reproducing the cortisol, adrenaline reflexes that you will experience in violent, life-threatening situations. And that's the whole point of what we do in Krav Maga.
Okay guys, welcome back. So what you just saw in these previous two videos is exactly what I said. First of all, before I get all the comments about why am I wearing the headgear and the other guy's not wearing the headgear, it's because I got these things in my face and I'm cheap. I don't want to spend $5 grand on the expensive mouthpiece that I need to buy to protect my braces. So I put headgear on to protect my lips. So what you saw in the videos is just a regular sparring. So you're working on technique, strikes. It should develop your focused strikes. It should develop your ability to have determination, to be able to go back and forth in a fight. And it should have developed a little bit of courage, because you have to stand in front of the person and then take those punches. But we also need to develop aggressivity, aggressiveness. Sometimes some French comes out here. We have to develop some aggressiveness. And what you saw in the second training, in the second scenario, was that developmental training that's going to give you the reflexive muscular connections to respond to violent attacks that you're not ready for. So instead of going, oh my God, I'm getting attacked, I'm going to go, oh my God, I'm getting attacked. So it's going to give you the ability to respond, because we've already conditioned you under fatigue and stress to be able to respond reflexively to any contact or any aggression that comes in. So again, like I always say, these are my thoughts. These are kind of the things that I've developed over 30 plus years of training in all different types of martial arts, leading up to my Krav Maga training over the past 10 years. So again, as always, if you like what I'm talking about, even if you disagree with what I'm talking about, but you like the way I presented it, go ahead and hit the like button. Leave some comments, subscribe, and share it around, because again, we're a big community, and everyone that's doing Krav Maga, no matter who they're doing it with, you're doing Krav Maga. Everybody is more or less on the same page, so egos need to be taken out of it, and principles and efficacy needs to be put back in. So let's share around, get some comments, and thanks a lot. YNG Global, Kravolution, keep training.